Good evening. Welcome to the Candid Kennel, the only podcast recorded inside a fictional speakeasy where speaking is easy, but barking is better. Come on in, have a drink, and let us furry animals guide you through tonight's topics. I am your host handling hound, Wren.
I'm the stuffed animal on the table, Fray.
And I'm the new dog on the block, Zap.
On tonight's menu, Fursuits! With our guest today, we'll be discussing the ins and outs, sews and seams of bringing our personas to life. This is the Fursuit Fix-Up. Hello, everybody!
Hey.
We are
Ooh.
back!
Can't believe it.
We are here again, once again, in our silly little VR chat cafe to have a fun little discussion about fursuit making.
Yeah.
We also have a guest here today.
Oh my god.
And we have a former guest here today, too.
That is true. There is a certain dog who has returned, and she has returned for good.
Or evil.
Or evil.
Oh,
Hi,
Mostly
Sam.
evil. Hey.
Ominous.
Wonderful to have you back for good. We can now officially say that Zap is an official part of the Candid Kennel Cast. Welcome, my dear. It is wonderful to have you.
They've had it too good for too long, and I'm here to change that.
you're here to cause chaos. That's
Yeah.
what I need.
She's here to mix it up. Or fuck it up, you know.
One or the other.
But with our other fun official guest today, we would like to introduce you to the most reckless raccoon and king of trash, Rack.
Hello. Yes.
Hello.
My name is Rack. I'm here. I use he, him pronouns. And I'm a fursuit maker from Reckless Raccoon Studios.
Someone has to be. Like.
Yeah, it has to be one of us.
Yeah,
One of
no,
us has to be a
not me.
fursuit maker, guys.
I'm all thumbs.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that does happen. Rack, it's wonderful to have you on the podcast because none of us have any expertise in how to make fursuits. We just own them.
Hey, that's good enough. Fursuits are fun.
We just had the money to buy them. You have the money to make them.
Yes. And it's a lot of money as well, so fret not.
That is one of the questions we got is about
Oh,
an actual monetary breakdown.
interesting.
So
Well,
we'll definitely talk about that.
awesome. Well, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you again for inviting me on. I'm super excited to record today's episode with you guys.
Yeah.
Sweet. If you could start off, please tell us about your persona and how you got into the fandom.
Oh, okay. I'll start with my persona because getting into the fan was a bit of a blurred line, so I can start with my persona. My persona is a raccoon, specifically a tactical raccoon. He's kind of also the mascot of my business, but
Mhm.
generally I don't use him too much for it. Just a raccoon is normal. So he doesn't have much lore, but the lore he does have is kind of just based around, military, kind of all that stuff. He doesn't really have an official name either. His actual name is Raccoon Lord, i.e. the King of Raccoons. It's kind of something that started when I was younger. I would, before I was like a quote-unquote a furry and had a persona, I would draw this raccoon character with like a crown and a cape, and I'd be like, oh, he's the King of Raccoons. And then I was trying to make it so it wasn't so long, and I was like, okay, he's the Lord of Raccoons. He's the Raccoon Lord, and that stuck with me through to making my persona. In fact, the first initial design of my persona had more of the crown and cape aspect. Now it's more like tactical, and he still has a little crown symbol on his Ushanka that he normally wears, because obviously I like to wear stuff for my persona. I feel weird being naked, so to speak. Basically, my persona is a tactical raccoon. He loves tactical gear, loves dressing up. You'll always see him with a weapon of some sort as well, so
Yeah.
that's something I like to portray. Yeah, man, there's not much to him, to be honest. He's just kind of there.
Just a little
bit. That's actually rad. Like, is the military thing like just a thing that you're interested in, or is it like is there more
Yeah.
there?
I don't know. Like, it kind of is something that I got interested more into the last, I would say maybe 4 or 5 years ish, because I used to play a sport called gel ball. I don't know if you know what it is.
Nope.
Is that like Joe Blasters?
Yeah. So it was kind of like airsoft, but
Rest
the
in
Australian
peace.
version.
Rest in peace,
Yeah,
Joe
rest in peace. Yeah, rest in peace. It was kind of like airsoft, except like a softer version with Orbeez instead of like the bullets, and it was allowed in Australia for a certain amount of time. That's something I played, and it's relevant because I think by playing Gel Ball, it actually got me more into the tactical side of things. I was like LARPing, so to speak, and that kind of influenced the overall like interest in military stuff. I ended up becoming like an av geek. I love planes.
Oh, Aeromorph Sono when?
I'm good, thanks. I've seen too much content of that stuff. Let's just say unwanted visual seeing as well. Yeah, I think it just started from Joel. That's kind of where the interest peaked. I'm not like one for like, oh, I love war or anything. It's just I love. I don't know. I feel like tactical gear in itself is kind of punk, in a way. Like protection and also just the style you can get from it, like combining it with everyday clothes, also is just really
Hey.
cool.
It's practical as fuck. You got pockets.
You got pockets
So many,
pockets.
so many pockets, dude.
for storing
So
trash.
many. All the trash, dude. Banana
Yeah.
peels in the left, cans in the right, and little trinkets at the back pockets. Everyone knows this. This is common knowledge.
Which one is for the little fish skeleton?
The little fish skeleton is in my mouth, actually. That's what's stored at the back, so it's always on hand.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
That would be such a good like fursuit accessory plush. Is like a little like fish skeleton.
Well, actually, that's something I've been working on. I was meant to debut it at WAF, but I didn't get time. But I do actually have props like that I've been working on.
Hell yeah.
Sick. So that I love that
That's
that's
pretty
like
cool.
an extra part of fursuit making. But we'll get to that. We'll get to
Yes,
that.
yes, of course.
Yeah. So like, with the fandom itself, what was your like guiding force in that? Like, what got you there, and then what got you to fursuit making?
Oh, okay. I have thought about this a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't have like a definite answer of this made me a furry, but I think it's a combination of a couple things. I think it's a combination of definitely How to Train a Dragon, any anthropomorphic media such as like Lion King. I really liked Lion King as a kid, as well as How to Train a Dragon, and yeah, there was one other thing, but I kind of forgot it. Mainly How to Train a Dragon though, I think, and Warrior Cats. Oh, Warrior Cats, I cannot forget.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, I love Warrior Cats. So I think as a kid, I fell in love with How to Train a Dragon as a child, and I think it kind of stemmed from that, just like me being like, I love dragons so much, I want to be a dragon.
Yes.
But obviously, as a kid, I didn't have access to the internet. It wasn't a thing I could really research or put words to.
Oh yeah. So quick question: How to Train Your Dragon's books, right? Not the movies, or the movies and.
Mainly the movies, but I have read the
Oh,
books.
yeah,
Yeah,
no.
I do
That's
prefer
fair.
the movies though.
Real fan.
A real fan, no fake fans.
Real fan. I've got like the
Dedicated.
10th anniversary book on my shelf, so
Oh, that's awesome.
that's pretty cool.
You can tell the kind of furry somebody is by like the furry books they have, because I've got the Beastars manga down here.
Yeah, you're like, I know what you are, and I know exactly what type you are.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about what's on my shelf. It's
Oh no. Oh no.
there
You
are
have
no
books on
furry
your
books.
shelves? You guys have books?
You guys have books? You guys can read? Oh my gosh.
Fucked up, I know, but
Yeah, me and
So
like Blow
evil.
Possum comics.
Oh my gosh. Me and the Animorphs books.
I look at my shelf and it's like Warhammer book, RPG I've never played,
That's pretty furry
Warhammer
coded.
book, 10,000 RPGs. I swear. Yeah, I'll definitely get around to playing
definitely get
Pathfinder
around.
at some point.
Yeah, 'cause everyone wants to play Pathfinder instead of D&D.
Yeah.
Come on,
everyone
guys.
loves
You guys want to do it,
Pathfinder.
yeah? Guys, everyone, we'll get a group
Yeah.
together. We can organize it.
We
I
can
swear,
just-
please. I
we
hope
just need a-
snacks.
Guys, please trust me. I'll help you with the character sheets. It's not that
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah, we'll do it on
Promise, I'll make it fine.
the 5th Sunday of every month, right?
Right,
Yeah,
yeah,
come on,
yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, like it started from How to Train a Dragon. I used to my first ever costume. Actually, I want to talk about this. I think this is relevant to the question. I made a toothless costume that I would wear to school. I wouldn't wear it in class, but I wear it at break time. So I had like the wings, the whole face thing. I had a tail I would strap on. And I would like, man, You know what? I don't care. I'm cringes free. So I would like run around the playground in this like toothless outfit. Because I grew up in the country, and when you're different in the country, you kind of don't have friends. So I would do this at break time. I'd be like, I'm a dragon, and then I would draw dragons and stuff like that. So, and then a bit later in life, I kind of discovered like YouTube furries on YouTube, and I was like, oh, what is this furry dance competition? I love dancing, so it was something that interested me. And I had started reading like the Warrior Cats books and stuff around this time too. And I was just kind of like, I like graphic novels. I struggled with actually reading because just learning disabilities. I couldn't really fully commence a book. I couldn't actually read the pages properly. So having graphic novels was a really good option. And then seeing like Warrior Cats, I was like, I immediately grabbed to it. And then I think around 2016-ish was when I kind of started being like, okay, the furry fandom thing seems like something I want to kind of I'm interested in. I'd love to have a character, and that's when I hopped on a furry amino. Let's not talk about that.
Yeah,
Let's not talk about. Let's distinctly ignore
the
that one.
dark
Yeah,
ages.
it amped up from there, and then I think I made my first fursuit in 2019. So yeah, from there, and I made it in like a week because I did it before the first foul. Because I had been saving up like birthday, Christmas money to get the materials for it, and I lived in the country still, so it was a lot of money
Wow.
to come up for foul, and just for the day too. So yeah,
Hmm.
that's like the whole thing. Yeah, committed cause.
I knew you'd be good for this pod as soon as you said like cringes free, because like that's like our whole ethos with this podcast.
Oh, that's
First
awesome,
episode is
man.
literally like cringes creativity. That's like
Oh yeah, exactly. I think I remember you saying that. I'm an open book. I love talking about stuff. Like, there's nothing for me to hide ever.
and it's so freeing to be able to do that. It's just like, cool, yeah, this is my thing.
Yeah, and just not having embarrassment about anything either.
Yeah.
So since you've got nothing to hide, what's you've got a little funny plastic card in your wallet, and it has a bunch of numbers.
Oh, yeah, 327 118 943.
Oh, hold on. I don't have pen and paper.
45.
Let me write this down.
Oh, I get a pen and paper.
Yeah, what's the silly little numbers on the back? No.
Oh, it's
696969.
696934. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
that easy.
incredible. I really relate to the whole like dressing up at school as a dragon. It's like you keep that thing on you and it's my tail.
Yeah.
I definitely like I was wearing like ears and like flower crowns and like
That's
tails
awesome.
at school.
Do you also make it a like paper and craft and cardboard?
No, I was like hot glue and like fake flowers and stuff. Like
Oh,
and
interesting.
I had
Yeah,
a
if it works, it
collection
works.
of like those like cheap like I think they were called like spirit hoods, the ones with like animal heads. That like had the like dangly downs the sides with the like paws attached.
Ah,
Um,
the
Yeah,
you'd
like
get from,
the
that you'd get from
beanies?
like that you'd get from like
Yeah.
a market or a festival. I had a collection of those, and I would
Oh
just
my
cycle
gosh,
through
yes.
them. Yeah, so I
That's awesome,
hella
actually.
relate to that.
I have a raccoon one, but I only got it a few years back.
Yeah.
The reason I asked about paper is because like my toothless costume was made out of like paper and cardboard that I'd colored in because I never had black cardboard.
Yeah,
I only had like white, and I colored it all in with pencil.
that rules.
But that's why I love paper fursuit so much. It reminds me of where I first started, so I never had an issue with it, unlike some people. Yeah, I think it's so cool. Just people being creative with whatever they can is amazing to me.
Yes, because that's like the whole point, right? Is like it is a creative expression, and art should be able to be like translated through any medium, and like
Yeah, exactly.
that totally works.
But if you can make something, then it is art. Like, there's no limits to it.
So yeah, you made your first fursuit in 2019. You said.
Yes,
What
2019.
was it?
It was my raccoon. So it was my first suit, and it was me. He was the raccoon sonar. I still have, although his markings have changed slightly since then, which has been updated in my newest fursuit, which I haven't actually posted pictures of yet. But I took to Furdu.
I saw those little secret like on people's stories and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yes, I actually finished him literally while the walk started. Was when I was finishing him, and I kid you not. I was sewing his
Hell
nose
yeah.
on as the walk started, and then I ran down there to be on the end of the line. It was insane timing. Anyway, back to your question, which I made my first fursuit in about a week because I just had gotten the fur and materials from a recent like Perth trip we did because obviously I used to live in the country, and I put them together in about a week, and he wasn't really what I wanted. I felt my first one could have been better. Although I think like a lot of people would say I did pretty alright, but for me, I'm like, no, I could have done better if I had more time.
That is the artist feel so hard, where it's like everyone's like, "Wow, this is so great you did," and you're like, "But I see all the things that I need to fix."
Yeah, exactly. Like his teeth weren't stuffed; they were like flat, and his tongue I think was made out of felt, and I didn't like the feeling of it. And there's a lot of stuff I didn't like, and I didn't get time to finish, but it was okay because I'd made a tail, the head, the hands, and feet paws in a week, and
Wow.
I stayed up like every night and to finish it. It
Insanity.
was insane. It was insane. I'd never do this again, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I made him in a week, and all the materials I had was like I'd bought with my own money and the stuff I had saved up for, and I had been doing art commissions, and the art commissions were like, I kid you not, I would sell phone cases at school to people, and they'd commission me like I'd be like $10, and I'll paint whatever you want on your phone case, and this was how I got money up, and also art commissions. So yeah, so that's how I got money up to kind of afford my first fursuit, and then after that, I remember, people at FAO were like, "Oh wow, you should." I thought this was something you commissioned. You should think about, making these. And it was never something I kind of thought about. I was just didn't really realize it was an opportunity for work. And then I was like, well, I'll just post my work, and I'll just post like, I'm gonna take one commission if anyone is interested. And I think at the time it was like 300 AUD for a head.
Oh, those were the good days.
Yeah, well, I didn't know how much to charge, and I only
Yeah.
made probably like $50 profit. I'm gonna be real, but for as a like when I was a bit younger, I was still like, wow, this is awesome.
Before you had a perspective on money.
Yeah. Well, I did have a perspective, but that's the most amount of money I kind of ever had. So I
Yeah.
knew it wouldn't go far, but I also was like, I can finally buy something for myself, like for
Mhm.
once, which was really nice. But I ended up getting someone who messaged me being like, I want to commission you. I live in the United States. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. Like, and then it was a bear. My first commission was a bear. My first fursuit was a raccoon. I didn't actually make a canine until 2021, I think, which
Wow.
is when I started kind of being more proficient and doing more local work, I suppose. That was for Chief, or Max, you might know him as. So
Yes.
yeah, that
Yes.
was that
Chief,
suit.
good
That was like my first dog, and I was like, yeah.
I'm a real fursuit maker now. I made a canine.
No, literally, I was like, finally, I'm a canine example. Please commission me.
Oh, everyone's like, "Oh wow, you know how to make fursuits finally."
They're like, wait, you finally made a canine? I didn't realize you were a fursuit maker.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
yes.
really funny. It is kind of cool though that your first commission was a bear, because I feel like the head shape of a raccoon is easily transferable to like something of like a bear, like similar.
Yeah, like those
So it really
species
wasn't
with the
too-
shorter muzzles and the
Yeah.
wider faces, definitely. It was really fun to work on too, because not only did it challenge me, but I'm gonna be real. At the time, there were barely any resources. There weren't, and this was only a few years ago. You got to think about it. There were barely any resources for fursuit making. There weren't really stuff you could buy online for it. 3D printing in the fursuit maker space was maybe just becoming a thing for eyes.
Like dye sublimation, yeah.
Yeah, not dye sublimation wasn't even really around then. It was way too inaccessible for the civilian to have, so it wasn't really a thing you could get until recent years. And like, yeah, as a kid, I didn't really have tutorials on how to make a bear fursuit. There were tutorials by like Sky High Studios at the time, probably like one of their oldest ones being like how to make a head base, and that's where I learned, and that's like kind of where I took it from. I was like,
Yeah.
well, how do I make this? This is where I start, and I kind of learned some stuff making my raccoon from there. So I already had the skills, and direct import from customer as well was really helpful at the time, because without that first commission, I don't think I would be where I am today, because I wouldn't have the motivation, or had that interest even, because after that second one, I actually I developed better skills, and I actually had work to publish, which got me places. So
Yeah, that's such a familiar like artist experience, right? Where it's like, if it wasn't for the first few people who just like were like, "Oh, I think you're cool. Here's a little bit of my money." It's like I might not be where I am right now, you know?
yeah, exactly. It's like, if you didn't give me this commission, don't think I'd be here. Like, I don't know where I'd be.
Probably in a paper dragon suit. Let's be.
Yeah, I go back to the paper dragons. I'm like, I gotta become toothless again. I regress back to the old.
Hey, you'd have an the ASMR origami channel. Just
Oh my gosh.
making little
The
paper
paper
dragons.
claws. Yeah. I have like claws I'm wearing.
Unrelated. Have you seen that guy who makes the most insane stuff out of cardboard? It's just this
Mate.
old guy in Japan. He just like makes like full like transforming helmets and like big swords that fold out and stuff.
No. That sounds sick though.
Yeah, I honestly, if you probably just put like a cardboard art, this guy's like got to be #1 on YouTube. Like,
Dude, that's kind of sick.
I do want to ask you like a kind of interesting question that just came to my mind about. So we're all from Australia because we can tell by accents.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I wanted to like sort of ask the crowd that I now have surrounding me and staring at me in the middle of a video
3
chat.
people.
Cafe. Oh,
Speak
you all turns to me.
wisely.
Oh my god. Get back on your seat, Sam.
Get back, rah!
Get back. Sit. Yeah, I want to ask you a question about like what it's like being a creative and particularly being like in the fandom in like Australia, because you know a lot of our media and like the collective idea of the fandom is so like American based. I kind of want to just talk about like what it's like to be in like what is considered a smaller part of the fandom. We have less cons, less, you know, we have to make a more active effort to like present ourselves.
Yeah, I definitely think being in like especially a country with, you know, we do have a small population. We are in one of the most isolated, you know, cities in the world. If it can be hard to find like people you mesh with in the fandom that are local, because you don't get along with everyone. But then if you don't get along with the locals, it's kind of like you don't really have
Yeah.
a local community to go to. And especially being in like when I lived in a rural area, being a creative person there, it was kind of like it was interesting for people to see, I guess, because they had never seen it. Especially when you're so rural, people are like, "What is that? Like, what are you
Yeah.
doing?" It's kind of nice in a way because you feel peaceful because you know you have something to do while you're there because there's really nothing to do in rural areas. I'm going to be real with you.
I'm so familiar. I grew up in the wheat belt.
Yeah,
Yeah, the main hobbies of where I used to live were car theft and meth. So like, you know,
and like
that's
drinking and drugs. It's always
oh yeah,
drinking
the
and drugs.
drinking. It's always
Yeah,
drinking.
yeah.
My town, at least for like a country town, had a extremely sweet skate park, which I think did a lot for the youth. Like,
Oh,
just
that's
like whoa, like it was like a full size skate park, and then
Yeah.
also a giant BMX track as well. Like,
Oh, yeah, that's sick.
it's you couldn't ride your skateboard or like a scooter or anything on the sidewalks because it was so shitty. But the skate park
Yeah,
was
no,
like
I
the
get that.
dream. Yeah, like I grew up in a town with a population of like 2,000 people,
Mm.
and it's just like there was nothing to do. Like I'd bike to my friend's house, and then we'd go out into the bush and like we just
Yeah.
do shit in the bush. We'd push trees over and make ourselves little fires, and you know,
You
just like
started off as a creature early on, just in the
yeah,
woods.
I was a creature out in the woods like my entire life.
I was
Aw.
kind of the same, going into like the bushes and stuff to like I'd make like huts and stuff and like houses
Yeah.
and all that. And
Hell
I'd be
yeah.
like, yeah, we're bush hunters and we're gonna hunt. But like I wouldn't obviously hunt anything.
No
but
wonder you're a
you know.
raccoon.
yeah, it was natural progression, right? You know, it was like, Australian animals, scavenger raccoon, yes. Opposable thumbs, yes, of course.
Hell
How could I
yeah.
say
I
no?
think there actually is like a little bit of like when we think about people picking their personas, I actually think there is a lot to say about like someone's history and what it leads them to pick.
Yeah, there's definitely
Thankfully.
like some sort of psychological, like there has to be some sort of psychological
Yes.
study done on this because I feel like there is a correlation between like who you are and how you act and your morals and then what animal you pick as a first sign. Like I swear there is a correlation because I've seen these patterns like come up
Yeah.
time and time again.
Thankfully, I am unmoored from any weak single persona, thanks to the power of mental
I am
illness.
many forms.
You cannot be tied down.
I cannot
Bow
be tied
down
down.
upon me and my many forms, disciples.
Yeah, as we know, Frey is a shapeshifter.
Yeah, Frey does not exist as a person. Frey is a concept.
A concept that only like manifests when we need to do a podcast.
Oh yeah, basically.
Whoever's idea this was
It's the spirit we
piece of
summoned.
shit.
People will open my
Yeah.
social medias and weep, for they are barren.
That's what I have to do right before we hit the record button. Is I have to do a ritual that summons Fray.
Oh gosh, is that what all the chanting was about? I did overhear a bit
Yeah,
of it.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise,
yeah.
I just have to like sit in my prison of non-existence and paint Warhammer minis.
Yeah.
It's a little fucked up, but like,
Evil painting Warhammer mini moment.
oh yeah,
Hands
yeah,
are cramping, and you're like, I need to do more. 5 more.
Oh god, the summoning. Oh, I
Yeah,
forgot.
took them away from the Warhammer minifigs.
It's one of those really annoying like iPhone alarm noises. Just like, and you're just like, oh god, it's podcast time again.
You look up from the miniature you've been staring at for 2 hours, like 2 inches away from your face, and you're like, I can't see anything. I'm fucking blind.
Everything's
right now."
blurry.
You're
Yeah.
like, oh,
It
my
still
eyes have
hasn't
been.
been painted.
Yeah.
Kind of circling back to the question though, I think also when you like live in an area where there's more access to community and stuff, it is so nice to be able to talk to other artists and make artist friends and share ideas and bounce off each other. Because without living in the city, which is kind of unfortunate, but I wouldn't have artist friends at all. I wouldn't really have that like access to a more inner community between the creatives here.
Yeah, now you're on a weird furry podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I wouldn't have this opportunity if I didn't really like live in Perth, because I wouldn't have access to cons and I wouldn't have access to people knowing people. Like, you would be stuck. I don't know if that's how you guys feel as well.
Yeah, for me, like, I was like, oh, I was definitely a weird kid growing up, but I'm like, I'm glad I wasn't like, I was like, if I was in the country long enough to realize I was a furry, I do not want to be friends with the one other furry that was there.
Exactly.
I don't know.
No,
For
no,
me,
like,
that's just like,
exactly.
I'm
That
like, I was the
reminds
weird
me,
kid,
yeah.
but there's always a weirder kid. Like,
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
always like
no.
the neighbor's son or whatever, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't want to hang out with them.
Yeah. I was always I was just the lonely kid. I didn't have anyone, so it was like, oh.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how was that for you growing? When about in your life did you kind of move to the city?
Oh, I went to boarding school in the city because my parents
Oh,
sold the
okay.
farm. So
Yeah.
that was fucking miserable. And I was still the lonely kid there. But once I had graduated and left, I stopped being the lonely kid and started being the weird kid,
Aw.
as I was intended to be. Yeah.
I'd say that's better. That's a bit of an
Yeah.
upgrade. At least when you're in a larger like space, more people, more population, you can find other people like you, which is something you don't really have an opportunity to do in the country.
Yeah. Or in boarding school.
Yeah.
Yeah, or in boarding school, or any school, to be honest.
I had a
Oh,
weird
yeah, no.
experience of moving to a country town when I was 12.
Mm.
And then it's just like, there's already not enough people here. And now I don't know anybody.
Oh,
And it's
Yeah.
just like, thankfully I only lived out in a country town for 4 or 5 years. I hate that shit so much, by the way. I'm like,
Yeah,
I want to
dude.
be in the city. I want buildings. I want
Same.
things to be close to me. I'm like, the hospital where I grew up was just like, you have to call somebody in to get them to, like, run the hospital, basically. Like,
oh my god.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
I don't want to
Yeah.
like break my ankle and have to wait 10 hours to see someone because I live in a rural area. I want to be able to go to the hospital and then them fix it, or like help me within
Yeah.
a couple hours
Yeah,
at
no,
least.
or be able to dope you up with enough painkillers so that you don't
Exactly.
have to.
Yeah, exactly. And
Ugh.
You don't have to at least think about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I lied about my concussion being better because I didn't want to stay in that hospital because there was
Oh,
no one
no.
there.
Oh, that
Oh.
is.
That's
Oh.
so
That
bad.
explains the whole dog thing.
Yeah,
That
I
explains
still have
so
a
much.
And
concussion.
now
It
you're
never,
a dog.
yeah, they never fixed the concussion. I'm still brain damaged.
Yeah, no.
No. I do want to kind of circle back to that idea that we were talking about of like the like psychological idea of like what brings you to the persona you pick. Do you see that in the people who like commission you for fursuits? Do you see like the correlation between like, because you obviously get to know someone when they commission you for like a fursuit.
Yeah.
Do you see that like say with like Chief, it's like oh yeah, you're clearly a dog. Like
Yeah, I think when I can actually physically interact with clients as well, like say they
Mm.
come over to my house or I've met them prior, I definitely see the correlation in how they act, or I can kind of see how people went with their persona idea. For instance, like you know, some people follow more like stereotypes, but I had a client recently who I just finished a commission on, and I'm not gonna like dox them names, but they had a dingo persona and they were a truckie, and I was like,
Hell yeah.
this
that
makes
rules.
sense, or like a FIFO worker,
rules.
and I was like, you know, these things kind of go together. These make sense, like Australian like dog animal, you know, FIFO truckie worker. It checks out, and I was like, yeah, you know, this kind of go together.
I love that we all had the experience of being like the weird kid, and it's like, oh no, this person played footy growing up, and then they're a truck driver now, and they're a furry. It's just
Yeah,
so
Yeah.
weird how
Mhm.
different people's experiences are.
I think in Australia we have such a diverse range of people in the fandom.
Mm.
Especially like you just be like, oh, that bloke looks normal, and then he's like, oh yep, here's my Sparkle Dog Fursona, and it's like a 35-year-old man, and you're like, oh dude, that's awesome. Like,
Hell
I
yeah.
would never expect it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, and that's like one of the things I really like to do with this like podcast as well is like one like I want to focus on like Australian voices because we barely get any representation of fandom. But also like I love the idea of getting like new and different perspectives. One of the things that I like low-key have in my brain is like I want guests who have unique persona species.
No canines, too many dogs here already. Nah.
Oh,
Oh no.
Don't worry, I'm just here for the diversity quotas.
yeah.
Yes, I do look like a cat right now, but don't worry, it's getting weirder.
Yeah, it's always gonna get weirder with Fray. It's like
You can
the more and
shapeshift,
more
you can
episodes go
shapeshift.
on, and she'll just like slowly transform.
Yeah,
You'll be
no,
like, you should be a different avatar every episode.
trust me, I have enough. We're not gonna pull out the other 20 avatars, but like there are enough.
Between clips that actually changes, you're just inconsistent the whole time.
That would be hell for me to edit. Absolutely not.
Oh, absolutely.
With like, I wanna move to like your actual like business now.
Yeah, of
you can
course.
tell us a little bit about the Reckless Raccoon Studios, how that got started, and just generally like your like business is about, and then we'll get into like what your process is for making a suit and commissioning you.
Yeah, of course. Also, so I run a fursuit making business called Reckless Raccoon Studios. And I kind of got the name and idea for that. Obviously, I'm a raccoon. But the idea for the name of that actually came from a shirt I had. I had a shirt and I had a raccoon patch, and I like ironed the raccoon patch on after the words, and the words were actually reckless. And I was like, huh, reckless raccoon. But then I was like, huh, this could be something. You know, at the time I was wanting to rebrand because
Mm.
I used to just do art, and this was around the time I started making fursuits as well. So after that first commission, I was kind of like, yeah, I can't just be like Raccoon Lord again online. I feel like I should have a proper name. And that's kind of where Reckless Raccoon Studios came from. Then I made an Instagram account and I started posting that. Obviously, within my business, I make fursuits mainly. I do art. I make props and stuff as well. So time to time, I offer like different services. I can fix up people's suits if they need, or you know, replace items. In fact, this week I was just replacing a friend's eyes they have on a suit of theirs. I was like trying to copy the original eye design and everything for them, but just with better materials. So that's kind of also something I like to do.
I'm taking notes now.
Yeah. Just get your little notepad out. I also make products and stuff, so I sell stickers and stuff. When I do conventions and all that, I have like all these different products I sell, like pins, stickers, keychains, kind of the normal stuff, prints and stuff. But I try and delve out a bit more as much as I
There's
can.
something hilarious out of context, being like, "Yeah, I was fixing my friend's eyes."
Yeah, so I had him on the surgery table, and I was getting my needle, and I
Does
was
it kind of feel like that? Like when you're like fixing someone else's fursuit, you're like, "This is my project."
Yeah, today's guest, Fred Hollows.
Yeah, today's guest is a hollow eye monster. People are so. I try to be really careful when I work on other people's suits that aren't a commission of mine because people are so emotionally attached to their characters and their suits, especially that you know, I try and be the most like gentle and careful I can be, and it's scary sometimes because I don't want to damage this person's suit, but you know, sometimes if it's an older suit, it's more frail, and I get a bit worried. But I always pull through. It's always been fine. And as long as they're happy at the end of the day, then that's all that kind of matters. And their suit's a bit better now, so
Yeah, because they're like
Yeah.
precious objects, right? Like they're like it's like oh I need
yeah,
to,
it's like sentimental for people,
yeah, absolutely.
and they're like real things, So I always utmost respect when working on people's suits. I treat it like a physical, alive thing.
That's actually like so cool because I feel like a lot of like furries, especially like I can definitely talk about this because I literally have Ren right next to me at the moment.
Yes, you got that recently too.
Yes, my
He's
baby
so
girl.
cute, by the way.
Yeah, my boyzoy, my bazoy.
Bazoy!
I look at her and I'm like, this is like one of the most precious objects I have ever owned. And I'm like, it's like there is such a level of like importance there.
Yeah, it's because it's you. It's like you, but it's there. It's actually there. It's physical, and you can see it, and it's yours. And it is much more than like, not to disregard but it's much more than like a piece of art you might get. It's like you're there. You can feel yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
Hell
I should have
yeah.
worded that a bit different.
Oh yeah.
Yep. You're
know.
physically there,
Phrasing,
and
a
you
little
can touch
phrasing.
the fursuit head, and it's yours. Okay? But it's a
Right
representation
now
of
on the
you, so
phone.
it's gonna be personal.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think we
Personally
can all
touching
attest to
yourself
that.
is important.
Exactly, a bit of me time.
Yeah, a bit of me time. Petting my fursuit head.
Petting. Let's just say she pet my fursuit till I
Till I bark.
She pet
Right,
my
bark.
fursuit.
Oh.
She suit my.
Oh.
She,
You didn't ask anyone what they're drinking.
Oh my god.
oh my god.
That's an
We're
important
so
question.
we're washed. We're washed. It's over, chat.
It's
It
so
was the
Java.
start that kind of fucked us up.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was
Fine.
my fault.
It's fine. We'll just do it now. We'll just do it now. Something that I didn't get to is because we recorded the intro multiple times.
No one's fault. It was no one's
I don't
fault.
need to know
It's
that.
no one's fault. It's totally fine. What is everyone drinking? First we'll ask. Oh, let's go, Zap.
Well, you see, because you're asking this like an hour late,
What were you
nothing right
drinking?
now. No, I just made myself a little caramel coffee.
Cute.
Oh,
Because it is
lovely.
the morning time. We're recording earlier in the day than we usually do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love caramel. It's like I have caramel
Oh, so
fursuit
good.
spray and caramel syrup for my coffee, and yeah,
My dog smells like caramel. Help.
yeah.
They're the caramel expert over here.
She's so sticky.
Ew.
She's so sticky with caramel.
Just full of caramel. That reminds me though, I bought this Fursuit cleaning spray when I was in the US when I bought my fursuit. It got confiscated by customs.
No.
No.
So sad. I was just sitting there just like, no, it's okay. I guess I can't put it in my suitcase because that's gone into a plane somewhere. It's fine.
I would have started
There is-
spraying it all over your stuff immediately. Please, it has to last.
Go on, quick.
Keeping it out.
Just dousing your fursuit head.
Customs also tore my fursuit head at some point, so I'm just
No.
so
What?
irritated about that.
Terrifying. It's got to be
I
on the
only-
carry-on.
It was in the carry-on. They searched my bag, and I
Right.
was like looking at it recently. I'm like, that hole hasn't been there for a while,
Oh,
and then I remember where the customs guy grabbed it, and I'm just like, oh, that
Oh.
fuck.
They're too rough.
They're too rough.
They put my fursuit head through the scanner at the Gold Coast Airport 3 times. 3
Oh.
times. I was like, it's foam and fur. There's nothing in there.
You're gonna be irradiated putting that on. You're gonna sit it on. And
Yeah, radiation poisoning.
Who's next,
Alright.
Ren?
Frey, what are you drinking?
Well, I was drinking tea. Unfortunately, I accidentally left it in the kitchen, so now it's just really, really, really cold tea. So I am no longer drinking tea.
Iced tea, maybe.
Yeah, no, I'll probably just like do something with it like that.
Good plan. Good plan.
Rack, what are you drinking? I can see you've got a can in your hand.
So in VR chat, I'm drinking Pilk. I don't know if you can see this. You can probably kind of see it. I don't know where the camera
Yeah, I
kind
can.
of is.
We can definitely see it.
Okay, cool. I'm drinking Pilk in VR chat, but in real life, I actually have a array of drinks. I don't know if you better guess my drinks, but I will spare you the time. I'm drinking water as my main drink, tea as my supplementary, and I have a small can of Coke that I'm also drinking. I
Hell
always
yeah.
love having like 3 to 5 drinks. I don't know why. I love having the options. I love having a little sip of each. Normally, I always have water as a base drink, and then like a warm drink, and then like a fizzy drink, and then maybe juice. I'm a fiend for the liquids. I don't know why, but yes, I'm drinking 3 things, not just one.
Not the only one. Not the only one
Not-
that's a fiend for liquids.
God, it's that meme that's like 1 drink for hydration, 1 drink for
energy.
1 drink for joy, 1 drink
yeah,
for joy.
1 drink for energy.
No, absolutely, I have vibe with that.
I do have to ask what Pilk is though.
Oh, so Pilk's like one of my favorite drinks, apart from Dr Pepper.
I fucking love Dr. Pepper. Holy
Oh,
shit.
so good. But
Can't take anyone in this call seriously.
Pilk is milk and Pepsi, or you can do Kilk, which is
Excuse me?
Coke and Coke and milk.
Excuse me?
Yeah, the Pilk.
You never had Pilk before?
Not intentionally.
People hear it and they think it's a bit. There are people who unironically drink Pilk and they know where you live.
No.
This is me. This is me. I know where you guys live, and I drink Pilk. But it's like a melted spider. People think it's bad, but it's literally just like a melted spider.
Okay, see. Oh, some people might be listening to this being like, what's a spider? It's an Australian animal. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spider-
We
yeah, I'm
blend
eating
them and
spiders.
drink them over here, yeah.
There is an
Ugh.
entire spider in my glass.
Yeah, in my glass is 3 actually. Huntsman, and the babies are crawling everywhere.
Stop.
Aw.
I'm an arachnophobe.
Sorry. Anyway, no,
Ren
spider.
Ren thinks spiders shouldn't get married.
What?
God damn it.
Ren. It's not nice to say.
Just
No,
as
but
long as they don't get married in front of me. No,
Oh.
a spider, the drink in Australia, is essentially a frozen, Coke, frozen, like a slushy, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
A slushy or liquid, you can do liquid, with ice cream on the top, right?
Like a root beer float.
Yeah, it's like a root beer float. Yeah, that's kind of the word I was looking for. The Pilk is just kind of melted version of that. It's like creamy and fizzy, but it works
Yeah.
really well. Like honestly, if you don't, you could try it. It's good. Trust me. But if you don't like it, that's fair.
But I will say you are really like embracing the raccoon energy by just having a can of Pilk.
No, trust me. Pilk's good, guys.
I refuse to accept the opinions of anyone who drinks cherry Coke or Dr. Pepper.
Oh my, I fucking love Dr. Pepper. Cherry Dr. Pepper cherry. Oh my god.
Gross.
I love Dr Pepper.
Have you tried? You gotta try the electric Pepsi. Have you seen electric Pepsi? It's like bright blue. It does things to your body. Don't worry. It's good.
Oh, I feel like
And I usually hate colored drinks.
It's so blue.
all drinks are kind of colored if you think about it. Coke
Yeah.
and stuff is artificially colored. It's actually green when they make it, and then they dye it black.
Wait, really?
I would drink it if it was
Yes.
green.
Yeah,
It's green?
yeah, exactly. No one would drink it if it was green, unless you would. But like, no one
Wow.
would.
I would.
I mean, it
I'm
does
the
have
worst.
like lime in it, so I'm kind of not surprised.
Yeah, it's like what lime,
It's like lime and
cinnamon,
cinnamon.
something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, if you want to know the blue of the blue Pepsi, it looks like Windex. Like
It does.
You
Oh,
could swap that.
yuck.
You could swap that.
Just the whole
no
time
one
I'm
would
like
know.
window cleaner down my throat. Yum.
Rack, you can make blue Pilk. You can make blue Pilk.
No, I don't want to. It wouldn't taste the same. It's like the
Electric
cola
Pilk.
aspect is the best bit.
Anyway, wonderful tangent, guys.
No more Pilk combinations.
No more Pilk references.
Next custom persona design, you got to design like a Pilk.
The Pilk for
Honestly, Pilk cat would be great. Like a Pilk.
the Pilk cat.
Yeah, what
Yeah, like a
animal
cat.
is Pilk?
I'd say no. I would say like a cat or no. I'm really
Yeah.
feeling cat. I'm feeling like Pilk is a cat. Like the cola is the sharpness of the claws and the tang, but the fluffiness of the cat is the milk. Yeah.
I cannot stress enough. You're immediately going Pilk for cat. Is that a reference to Nekoark?
No, but it
Do
could
you
be.
know?
I don't know what Nekoark is. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
seen
no.
I've seen the character.
I've seen that funny little cat.
Yeah, it could be a reference to that. I'll make a Nekoark fursuit. How about that?
Sounds good.
That sounds so dumb. Go nuts.
Speaking of making fursuits, my friends,
Maybe we should get back on topic.
Heavy is the hound that has to take on hosting duties. I'd love to move on to the actual questions that I've collected. I
Hey, let's
got
go.
a few questions on my Instagram and other such sources like Discord and from friends to ask you directly.
Awesome. Well, ask away. Ask away.
One of the first questions that we got is, what like species have you not created that you really want to?
Whew, I really want to. I'd love to do a kangaroo and a penguin.
Yeah.
Penguin, hell yeah.
Penguins
Yeah.
are cute.
Any bird, to be honest, but I will be doing a bird soon, so I can cross it off my list. But I do want to do a penguin and a kangaroo really bad.
I hope it's one of those like the like doofy Australian penguins that are like small and like kind of ridiculous.
A fairy penguin.
It should.
Yeah.
Yeah. The tiny cute guys. I really would love to do more Australian animals because I think people don't like, even though we're in Australia, a lot of people don't have Australian animal personas. I don't.
I mean, I'm an I'm an Australian Shepherd, but those are
That doesn't
American.
count. That doesn't count.
Yeah, they're an American dog. I think out of all the options I could choose, if someone came to me with a kangaroo persona or a penguin, I'd want to take those on. Or an owl. I love owls, and I would love to do an
Ooh.
owl.
What of an owl bear?
Totally
Fucking owl bear.
Owl bear.
An owl bear.
Owl bear.
Oogie boogie owl bear.
Yeah, that's awesome. How like I just because I recently got my red fursuit and my fursuit maker made her wings, because she's an angel puppy. What is it like? You mentioned you were making a bird right now. Like, what is the difference there? Like trying to like basically create feathers with fur.
Yeah, so with like, wings and stuff, you don't always have to use fur for them. Personally, I'm gonna be using Minky. You can create a lot of details though just by like using embroidery.
For those who don't know what Minky is.
Minky is like a soft material. You'll find it on plushies. Think Squishmallows. Think any plush you've ever picked up, most likely. The short piled soft fabric you feel on that is called Minky, and that's what you use for like teeth, tongues, noses. Not everyone does, but most people do.
I think that's what Wren's wings are made of.
Yeah, most likely. It's a very short pile fabric, and it's very soft, and it will normally have a direction to it, unless it's like Mochi Minky, which is the same as what Squishmallows use, which doesn't have direction.
It's a little bit similar to felt as well, but not as like coarse.
Scratchy.
Yeah, it's not scratchy in any way. Although I would say it's not as easy to sew as felt. It's very messy, and the fibers go everywhere when you cut it. So always be careful.
That is another question we did get. It's like how much like fur do you think you've inhaled?
Oh, so much, too much. In fact, so like every time I'm shaving fur or working or cutting fur, I always try and have because my desk is right next to a window, so I open the window. I have generally a like a ventilated respirator, yeah. And I try my best not to, but any time you take your mask off or take a sip of water or do anything, your fur gets there. Like I'm always like eating fur, kind of more so than inhaling it. So I'd be like, yeah, and then there's fur in my mouth. Half the time I can't tell if it's fur or beard hair. I'm not gonna be real with you. Most likely a bit of both. I try and avoid inhaling as much as I can. Although a couple years ago I did get like a minor case of groomer's lung
No.
because I wasn't wearing protection.
Oh no.
Please, if you're shaving fur, at least wear like one of the masks you can get for like, if you're sick with a flu or whatever. At least wear something on your face when you're shaving fur and cutting it.
Just wear your fursuit while making fursuits.
Oh yeah, just wear your fursuit while making fursuits. You won't cut yourself. The visibility is awesome. You'll be fine. Trust me.
Yeah. HEPA filter in the mask. It's fine.
You'll be safe. You'll be
And
fine.
easy.
That's our PSA for the day. Is please wear protection.
Wear protection.
PPE always, please.
The first P stands for puppy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Puppy play equipment.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
That's what our last episode was about.
Oh really? I didn't
Yeah.
watch. I watched the first two. I didn't watch
Right,
the last
it's-
one.
At the time of recording, it's not up yet.
Oh, okay.
Another question that we got from our lovely friend Egg. Egg
Whoa,
Dog.
egg dog. Egg.
Egg dog.
Egg dog.
They wanted to ask, what parts of the process do you use on a machine, and what parts are hand sewn?
So I used to hand sew absolutely everything because I used to
Whoa.
not own a machine. But now I have several machines, and what I try to do mainly now is any small marking I hand sew, but generally like darts and putting pieces together, I am now proficient on machine. I machine sew my heads now. I machine sew as much of paws and stuff I can. But generally, when it comes to paws and stuff, majority of paws are hand sewn. That is why they're so expensive as well, because it's so finicky. It's such a tedious task to do, and there's just so much hand sewing involved in paws as well.
And they also get a lot more wear and tear than other things.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely, absolutely.
usually, once you put your fursuit head on, it's not moving a whole lot. You got those paws on, your hands are moving all day. Like
Yeah. Yeah, so I try and machine sew as much as possible to save my wrists and fingers. But where I can, for instance, like parts of the paws, I always have to, utilize a ladder stitch on the back of their ears and everything like that to put it together. And I always have to, hand sew the necks on. It's too hard to machine sew. There's not enough space. Otherwise, almost every other aspect, like hemming my heads and doing all that stuff, attaching a tag, all machine sewn, pretty much everything. And then just the small things I can't do, like securing teeth as well, putting noses on, and fixing up any holes. All hand sewn. Majority of it is a ladder stitch, apart from sewing the neck on, which is a blanket stitch.
You did mention this, like how paws are quite expensive. Is it? We'd love to know basically like a monetary breakdown, like material costs, time costs, like effort costs. Like I think a lot of people could get like. I think there's a little bit of a misconception, especially with like people who aren't aware of the process of making fursuits, like why they tend to be quite expensive.
Yeah, so expensive.
So like I think it'd be a really good moment to like actually show the perspective of being like, tell us why.
Yeah, okay. So I'll give like an overview. Like I won't go into too specific, but basically, I'm just be real. My last fur order. This is one thing. Fur is expensive. We know this. Fur itself as a material to import is expensive.
It is also about to get way more expensive.
Way more expensive. Yay. Don't know if people know this, but in Australia, there's pretty much no way you can locally buy fur. It's all you have to outsource from America. You have to get stuff from China. Like you have to get other places fur from. So you have to pay extra shipping cost. Plus, you have to kind of pay the difference in from what USD to AUD when it comes to stuff. So it might say it's like $19, but it's actually probably $30 Australian for
$28
this much fabric. Yeah, so just getting fur in itself is material. Then you have to think about the shipping cost. Recently, I had to pay like $1,500 AUD shipping just on one order. And then I had another, I had another order of fur from a different place because I do multi-suppliers in case one is out of stock. Yeah. The other place was pretty much the same amount in shipping. So, that's $2K just on shipping. We don't even want to talk about how much all the fur costs. And this is, obviously I'm a registered business, but this is all kind of mostly out of my pocket. That's always digging into profit. And one thing with Australian fursuit makers I've noticed is we don't charge enough. We don't compared to over in America and everything. We're making like 10 times less, I feel, and that's something I want to personally, kind of level out with. I want to be able to make more profit to live. Like,
a misconception, right? Is like profit isn't like I'm trying to make a ton of money. It's like I'm trying to pay my bills.
Yeah, I'm just trying to live. Yeah, everyone pays rent, everyone pays taxes. I'm just want to get by. And when you're working like day and night, I work till 10 each day pretty much on fursuit stuff. And it's long hours and it's like just trying to live.
Yeah, it's just how it goes. You need to pay for groceries.
The price of Pilk at the moment.
The price of Pilk is skyrocketed. It's not going on, bro. It went from $3 to $4. I can't handle it anymore. I'm gonna crash out.
Pilk sponsorship? Yeah.
I wish. Other breakdown costs. Foam itself isn't too expensive, but you got to think about like if you're 3D printing a head, filament using the machine, the cost to actually get a 3D printer is quite high as well.
Yeah.
The time investment to set it up as well.
Exactly. And like learning how to 3D model, I had to take a lot of time out to do that, and making my own custom 3D models for like fursuit eyes and other bits and bobs I might need, or accessories, and a breakdown of that, and then also a breakdown of the art you do for the planning concept, and I include a badge with each commission as well, so I have to make art, and then it's a lot of it is all the materials and equipment I actually need before I can even start working on a fursuit is kind of insane cost-wise. I need glue guns, I need glue sticks, I need scissors, I need specialty stuff, I need a sewing machine with different needles. Yeah, and then I have a backup sewing machine. Those sewing machines have to be serviced, or they won't work properly. And especially when you're working with fibrous materials that like let a lot of like fluff out, you need to service them regularly. I obviously have a dye sub setup. Like that is expensive. Not everyone has access to that. Which means I have to have the specialty printer, the specialty paper, the specialty ink. I have to have the heat press for it, and then I also have to have the materials to sublimate onto. That's just for one thing, like eyes. That's so much, and especially like the amount of work that goes into it is kind of insane. I think a lot of Australian fursuit makers do undercharge. Definitely. So hopefully that's something that changes in the future. People can start pricing it more fairly, but definitely to like the average person, they're gonna look at it and be like, "Oh, that's expensive." But it's like, no, it's costly. It's not expensive. It's costly.
We kind of talked a little bit about that on Fray and I on episode 2, because we talk about like the whole idea of like breaking down the idea of like, oh, all furries are rich. It's like, no, we're not.
No.
And it's like
I big saving.
I talked about my own personal experience of like saving for my Wren suit. It is a luxury item. It is also like investing in a hobby, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like I just really relate to the idea of like it's not expensive, it's costly.
Yeah, exactly. I think people are really good at saving when they have something so important to them like that. They can put together the money. Like it's insane what people can do.
If I can do it.
Yeah. If this puppy can do it, so can you. Hell yeah. But that's pretty much it. It's just like I can give a more detailed breakdown, but I feel like it'd be too long of an explanation.
That was super insightful.
Yeah. So I hope that answers that person's question. Basically, expensive.
I feel like saying thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
These are the real trenches. Fursuit making.
Yeah, fursuit making mines. I'm in the mines sewing.
I'm not sure if Wren has a question for this from anybody, but how much do you 3D print?
Pretty much just like the eyes and any accessories like that might need something like that. Otherwise, almost all my heads are just foam and fur and other materials. I try and stick away from 3D printing because I know TPU's a thing, but I'm really unsure of how long TPU lasts and how it dries properly and all that. So I haven't really delved into that yet.
If you would like an example, my entire fursuit head is TPU.
Yeah,
The entire skull's TPU.
Yeah, I met your maker, I do believe.
Yeah.
So yeah, like TPU is okay, but I still like the aspect of having because if you're printing something, you need to make a model, and I'm not the best at 3D modeling. I'm gonna be real.
Yeah, that's a completely different hobby.
Yeah, 100%. And I like having something physical in front of me, progress-wise, making it myself. I don't really like, I'm sure it'd be better in the long run. I might invest into it for other stuff like feet paws, but I don't really like the idea of just being like pressing button on machine make the thing for me. I think it's a more personal aspect when you can just carve it and stuff. But everyone's different, and if it works for you, it works for you.
Yeah.
I've got a quick question about tips for clean fursuit shaving and like aligning fur correctly.
Aligning fur correctly, okay. When it comes to shaving a fursuit head, there's this method I've used for a really long time called back brushing. What you do is you do a general shave of the head, right? If you've already done it, cool, just to get rid of the bulk. Then what you do is I start from the muzzle and then I go outwards, so following the fur direction. I'll start from the muzzle, and what I do is I actually brush the fur towards me, and then I shave with a guard on. Normally like 3mm guard is what I use. So I'll do that, and they do this in dog grooming too, and it gets a really smooth shave after a couple of times. And then when you brush it back, right, it's completely smooth and good. You can also utilize using an actual shave, like a razor afterwards to like just get off any like imperfections. But do be careful and do practice when it comes to that if you're not proficient, especially when you've already glued the fur on and stuff. Having a practice piece that's just like a curved piece of foam that you've glued some fur onto to practice first is a really good idea. especially when you're trying new techniques. You don't want to go straight to your like final product. Have test pieces to go along. As for hopefully that helps. As for aligning fur pieces, there's this thing called like adding little markers, little darts. They're just little lines that you do when you do your tape pattern, right? So you'll pattern all your markings out, blah 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 blah. You label it all, yeah. Once you've done that, you actually go ahead and put these like you can do 1 or 2 little lines next to each other, very small. They just indicate where those 2 pieces have to touch when you sew them and pin them back together. So this will help you align everything and get all your pieces how they should fit and how they should go. Use as many as you need, right? Beginners, you use 1,000 if you need. You have to mark them onto the fur, obviously, but they help in the long run. And when you get to a point like I am, you only need like 1 or 2 per piece. Some people don't even use them. I still do just to make sure things are aligning because fur can shift around when you're pinning and stuff, and you don't want it to be a bit wonky on one side and not the other. But that's a good way to make sure your pieces are all connected right. And before you even take that tape off, once you've marked those lines down, take photos of the head with tape on it as well. That'll help you reconstruct later. And another small tip: when you're taking the tape off, draw where that like negative line is. So where you took the tape off, then draw where that marking was, and then so forth. That'll help you get it completely where you need it on one side, and then you can just copy on the other. So that's like my ultimate like guide to getting perfect marking, getting perfect shaving. Is just all that stuff combined.
Yeah, I see like the like particularly like foam models with those like tape pieces on. Is that basically like your guide? Like you cut those tape pieces for the fur?
Yeah, so that's how we get the pattern for a fursuit. Some people might like 3D scan and model in like how they want the pattern pieces to lay. You can do that, but that's pretty complex. Majority of people use the method of just taping the head up. So you get masking tape, duct tape, whatever you want. You put it on the head, cover the whole thing in it. Generally, if it's symmetrical design, you only do half of the head.
Smart. That's genius.
Yeah, you don't want to use more of your resources than you need, right? That's more effort. Even on an asymmetrical design, I did half the head once and then just retaped over the part that I needed to cut out again that was, not symmetrical, and it kind of worked. But generally, you just do half the head and you draw your pattern on it. And once the pattern's all drawn and you marked up everything you need, then you can cut it out with scissors or a Stanley knife, and that's how you get the pattern for the fursuit head for the fur.
That's really cool.
I feel like I'm actually learning something. It's like, whoa, cool.
Oh, that's good. I hope so. It's kind of like taking the skin off of it.
Can't believe it. They forced me to learn something.
Another question. We've got like 2 more questions to go. And I've got a really nice question that I want to end on to kind of like move us through. Next question is just like, you've sort of mentioned that you're like very like at a point now where you feel very proficient at your craft. What do you think like the polishing stage of making a fursuit is? Like basically any additional extra things that you add to a fursuit or add to like the box, like you said with you make badges for people. Like what things like that do you think sort of bring up the level of what you're like the things that you're producing?
Yeah, when I'm like in the final steps of making a fursuit, I think kind of like the one thing that always makes it go, okay, it's kind of done now, and I feel good about this is going back to any markings and trimming them up again if I need to, and making sure everything's even. And then also adding the line to the eyes. Adding the lining to the eyes is one of those things that just make it feel so complete. Fursuits are this thing of like it's ugly until it's not, and I feel like that's the point where it's not is like the last step, and adding the nose as well. Polishing aspects when I'm presenting a fursuit to someone as well is making sure it's brushed before I put it in the bag, before I package it up, and then I have a nice sleeve I put all the paperwork in, and I have a sheet and I actually have cleaning booklets that I've made, so I have all my information in this like booklet all about cleaning and storage and everything, and I put that in with orders, and I give them stickers and candy and brushes and stuff if they need repair kits, and I chuck all that in a nice sleeve and I put that on top, and everything's packaged in bags so it doesn't get wet, and just in case. But that's kind of my polishing steps is making sure everything's presentable, making sure there's nothing I've left behind, nothing I've forgotten about, making sure it's tagged and hemmed properly, there are no like accidental holes I've made, And then after that, it's like done. The fursuit is done after that. I'll make sure there's no accessories I need to do, but yeah, that's pretty much when it's like polished and done.
That must be so satisfying.
Yeah, it's like, oh, cool. My last month of work is finished right here. But then it gets to a point like you're kind of like, okay, the next one now. I've done now the next one.
I sometimes feel that when I'm working on like an art piece as well, where it's like, cool, I love this piece. I've just spent 8 hours on it. What am I doing next?
Yeah, it's like, well, I love creating, so it's never a bother for me.
Yeah,
but
it's
it's
never
just
a
kind of
problem.
like, I'm more excited to show the client their work now. Like, hey, here's this fursuit you waited so long for. It's finally done. Like, that's the big moment for me. I get my greatest joy of isn't completing a fursuit head, but it is seeing the person's reaction to receiving their head or getting pictures of it is the best part in process for me.
That's awesome.
That's
Yeah.
really cool.
The last question kind of leads off from that idea. I got a question from someone who's like attempted to make fursuits and then felt discouraged about the work that they made because it was like their first time. How
Yeah.
can like a newer maker feel inspired and like not lose that like hope, I guess?
Okay. I think there's a lot of stuff you can do. First of all, if they're listening, I want to say try again, try and try again. If you think it's bad, no, it's not. Look what you did. You made something. How amazing is that? The biggest thing I can give, like advice wise for inspiration, is don't saturate your palette too much with too much information and like images and references at once. You will freak out. You will feel overwhelmed. Take it one at a time. Just don't doom scroll anything. But generally, what I do for inspiration is I'll just observe people's work. I'll go on Instagram. Maybe there's a fursuit maker I like. Oh, they've posted some new work. If I can screenshot that work and then I put it into a folder or something, or I even print it out and just have a couple pieces like that, especially if it's someone you like, then I feel drawing inspiration from something someone else has made is, that kind of helps. It's just having a couple pieces here and there. Because if you go on a tangent of being like, I love this person's work, and then if you keep scrolling, it eventually gets to a point of, I'll never be good as this person, or I can't do what they do. If you keep it brief and you keep it simple, that generally helps with inspiration. Also delving out of the furry fandom to look for inspiration.
Yes.
Watching cosplay videos and people just making stuff in general. That's where I get most of my inspiration. I watch people make like stuff out of wood, and that inspires me to create. Or people like will make dresses and gowns or costumes, and that still inspires me to want to sew, which makes me want to make more fursuits and more work. And I think engaging in stuff like that, in surrounding yourself, especially with content and creative ideas, in the long run will help you feel more inspired. Different stuff works for different people, but I say if you really feel like it, have another go at fursuit making. There's nothing to lose. If your first attempt, third attempt, fourth attempt, it doesn't look good to you, it's probably going to look good to someone else, and it's still a good effort. Whatever you make is good art. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, okay? So that's kind of my general advice. It's just like, yeah, and don't overload yourself. Take a few bits of inspiration, maybe print them out, and then just observe. Just have it around you. Just,
All art is good art.
Yeah, all art is good art. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah.
Hopefully you have another go. Person who asked the question.
Yeah.
But never feel discouraged, and I'm always open. You can be, experienced maker, new maker, never made a fursuit. If you message me, I'll answer your questions. So if you ever have more questions or need help with anything, let me know.
I can confirm you're good at replying to messages. That's how I got you on the pod.
Yay! Give it a day or two. Sometimes it takes me a couple days to get back to people, but I do get back to you within a week at least.
Good business practice.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just wanted to mention, like, with the whole talking about, like, when you're working on a piece and, like, not getting discouraged. It's like, when you're in such an early stage, like, I can relate really hard to, like, being an artist. I think, Zap, you can relate as well. The journey of, like, not getting discouraged about making art. Because it's hard and it's stressful.
Yeah.
It is stressful.
Because I know that, like, I've been helping you, like, kind of get your kicks back with making art again.
Yeah, I haven't been able to
proud of
paint.
you.
I haven't been able to paint Warhammer in like 6-7 months.
Yeah.
It's killing me.
Mm.
Yeah, and it's just like
Yeah.
it's so easy to get caught up in everything, and I love the advice of like look at different art, not just like that's in the fandom, because that gives you such a perspective. And it gets you out of your head a little bit, like when you're so deep in the like I'm gonna do this specific thing, like you need to sort of break that cycle that you get caught in.
Yeah, because people get into the cycle of like, oh, there's only one way to make a fursuit, which there isn't. It's a made up concept. It's a made up thing. Do whatever you want. The sky's the limit, right? So if you think something's gonna work and you want to try it, try it. No one
Nothing
is
is
gonna be
real.
there and say, no, you can't do this thing. Just go ahead and do it. And I think even experienced artists, like I get discouraged sometimes. You know, especially in the early ages, stages of making a fursuit, I kind of sit there and I go, "Oh, it doesn't look like the species," or "Oh, I don't like it so far." But it's okay. You can change your work, and I think the best thing to do when you feel too overwhelmed by something is just completely step back. Just stop what you're doing, take a breather, maybe play your favorite game, make yourself a tea, come back at it with new eyes tomorrow, and you'll feel much better than if you just tried pushing through. Because don't try pushing through when you get like that. It'll just make things worse. Trust me.
Yeah, that's incredibly good advice. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
with that we're coming to the closing time here at the Candid Kennel.
No,
I'm so
Oh,
sorry. We're gonna have to
no.
close up, put away the glass.
They're gonna kick me out. They're gonna put me to the
Yeah.
curb.
Sorry, man. Staff only. You're gonna have to go on
Closing
the
time.
street.
Gotta get out of the cafe.
It's after hours. It's after hours.
I see.
But something that we do every episode is we each do a little shout out to basically anything, anybody, any organization, any idea really that we'd like to give some love to. So yeah, if there's anybody you'd like to give a little shout out to, this is your chance.
I'll shout myself out first of all. Reckless Raccoon
Yeah.
Studios on Instagram, Telegram, my website, all that. Also want to shout out all my friends. Hi, whoever's watching this, because I will be sending links to people when this airs, so they can have a little look and listen. And then to anyone who is a creative, anyone who wants to make stuff, I'm so proud of you. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep making art. The more art in the world, the better. And fuck AI.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Real for that.
Real for that.
And thank you so much for having me on, by the way. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're so welcome. You've been an amazing guest.
Yeah.
Like this has gone swimmingly.
You guys have been amazing hosts as well.
None of us are fish, but it's gone swimmingly.
Fish. Did somebody say
Fish.
fish? I love fish.
Then you pull out the tiny little fish bone.
No, I will just pull out the fish, bro.
Oh my god!
You actually have a fish. I can't believe it.
You actually do have a fish. Anyone want some fish?
How long have you been holding onto that bit?
The whole time. It was swapping between the Pilk or the fish, and I had the Pilk most of the time. So
Brilliant.
Is that the fish from your hat?
maybe.
Is that
Wanna
the
bite?
fish from the hat? Ren, if I can quickly, if that's okay with Rack as well, we do have quite a funny story for how we all met, actually.
Oh yes, yeah, absolutely. Zap, do you wanna?
Oh no,
say
no,
it?
this is Ren. This is your story.
No, what is it? What do you mean?
Do you remember how? Do you remember how we met?
How we? Excuse
How
me?
we wet.
How we met?
Which time did we wet? Anyway.
Do you remember
I've got fish on the
your
brain.
hotel meeting at work that
I
led to?
actually yes. Oh my god.
Oh my god, you want a work meeting? I didn't even realize.
No.
No.
So okay,
Okay,
I will
okay,
tell this story because it's hilarious. This will be a fun way to end the pod. I was like I have already talked about this on the pod. I'm a bartender, outside of being a dog on the internet, and I was working in my bar, and a friendly face came up, and I did my usual charismatic serving of drinks and had a fun little chat, and then I went to WAF with this lovely dog here. And we were at the bar at the hotel bar at WAF, and someone comes up to me and they're like, "Oh my god, I recognize your voice!" And I immediately freeze up because, of course, I do. And they're like, "You work at insert name of my bar here."
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And I'm like, "Do you remember me, and then they explained the interaction we had, and I was like, yes, and they're like, I'm here for WAF, and I'm like, oh my god, me too.
Oh
So
my
I
god,
you-
furries in the
inadvertently-
wild, they're everywhere. The furries
exactly.
are everywhere.
That's exactly what we were talking about, where it's like, turns out that we're actually secretly
Coming out of the
everywhere.
goddamn walls.
And yeah, then I was just like, oh, come have lunch with us, and that's when you turn up, Brad.
In your fucking hat. The fucking hat
Yes,
was
in the
got
hat.
me.
Hey, was I in my fish hat or my wizard?
You were in the fish
Which one
hat.
was it? Yes.
It was the
yes,
fish
yes.
hat.
And then we had a chat to you in the dealer's den as well.
Yeah, I was literally. So the whole thing was, where are they? I need to find them. I need to get lunch before I go back into the den because we only have like a small break. It was like an hour break, if that. And so I was like, oh, I need to get lunch. And then I was like, pretty woman. Oh god, let's go there. That's
There was
obviously where they
multiple pretty
were.
women around that table,
Yeah.
and you were like,
Sure.
Yeah, like my eyes got big and anyway, and so I was like, oh, I need to get lunch real quick, and then I wanted to have lunch with you guys, but the
Like, it
actual
took
food
so
was-
long.
It was
took
taking so long, I
so
couldn't
long.
actually eat with you. I think I had like a chip, and then I was like, okay, I gotta go. Lovely meeting you guys. But yeah, after that, it was nice though, because you guys were extremely lovely. You showed me your first head as well, and then
Yeah.
I got your photography Instagram at the time because I was like, oh, you have very soft pastel vibes, and I was like, I like that. I'll follow you. Meeting new people is always good. And then now I'm here. Now I'm here. The way the world works.
Then my furry Instagram got huge.
Oh, that's awesome. Wait, how big are you now?
I'm at nearly like 5K now, which is pretty wild.
What? Oh,
Yeah.
congrats! That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And
Damn.
so that's
That's
kind of
wild.
how we all met.
Yeah.
How the two of us met. And yeah, it's just really cool. It's like the opportunities that the fandom can provide like that is just wild.
I find it incredibly funny how many of these stories I'm just like, and I wasn't there.
Oh no.
because I was being put in the meat grinder at work.
No. That
Speaking of
sucks.
WAF, 3 of us are all planning to go. Are you gonna be a WAF rack?
Unfortunately, not this year. I have some family stuff going on around the exact same time,
Oh.
so I have to miss it this year. But I might still have a proxy dealer or someone who might sell my stuff. So, but personally, I won't be, unfortunately.
Just tell everyone to come meet us instead.
Aw.
Go talk to Wren instead.
Yeah. We can all just hang out outside of WAF as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We can play
Yeah.
MTG. We were talking about that before the poll.
Oh my god, yeah. Can you believe Ren plays Magic? That's cringe.
Kind of a nerd
Yeah,
thing to do,
nerd.
honestly.
Oh, guys, what the frick? You guys are nerds. You play Mat.
The joke is, Zap is the one who got me into Magic like a month ago.
Oh, shit.
Let's not even talk about my relationship with
I've
Magic.
been playing for years.
Expert.
I've spent more on Magic cards than Fursuit.
I can imagine. It gets pricey after a bit.
Yeah.
I could have bought so many fursuits if I didn't play Magic.
I'd have 3 Fursuits if I hadn't bought Magic cards.
That's so funny.
I have the most qualifications here because I used to be a Magic the Gathering judge.
What?
So,
Let's
Yeah.
see.
yeah.
That means it's really
Sorry to
intense
tell you.
playing against Fray, because it's just like, you know exactly what I'm about to do.
That's not how the
You're
rules work.
judging me.
Honestly, it's kind of good, especially when you're learning, because then you won't make mistakes later on, right?
Oh, I do still make mistakes.
Oh, yeah, no.
Very good.
Yeah,
very
no.
good learning experience.
Just immediately see Ren do something and I'm just like, minor rules mistake.
Infraction, death.
That card doesn't actually work
Infraction,
like that.
penalty,
You're
death.
gonna get incinerated.
Actually,
Do you know what's the best part about being a judge, though? Is every time someone
What?
says judge, you're just like, oh fuck, I have to do something now.
and I'm like, wait a minute, no, I've retired. I don't have to
Yeah,
anymore.
you're like, no more judging. No more
free.
judging.
Help! Is anyone here a judge?
And I just immediately like pull my hat lower and turn around. Quick, we need someone to explain the interaction between humility and layered action.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, Fray, since we're talking about you, would you like to shout out on this pod today?
I'd like to shout out the people who write Black Library books for Warhammer because those motherfuckers really do just exist. Yes, I am reading the entire Horus Heresy. No, it is not a good experience. Yes, there are good books in there.
You'd think the God Emperor would realize that his son, named Horus Heresy, would do a
Yeah, no,
heresy,
that's
right?
that's what I'm
Like,
saying.
in the name.
He called him Horus Heresy. And why didn't he want to be worshipped if he called himself the God Emperor of mankind?
Shaking my head.
Don't.
Inconsistency.
I'm gonna get so much hate mail for this. People are gonna figure out my old accounts and just kill me.
Zappy, who would you like to shout out today?
I would like to shout out my partner Elspeth because I'm currently not able to sleep at my own house because my roof was caving in.
Oh no.
So yeah, I am staying at my partner's house and did a late night install of VR chat and log into my Discord and stuff and make sure it's all working for today. And then of course it wasn't
Yay.
working for today.
And then we got it sorted.
And then we got it sorted. It's all wonderful.
Yeah.
It's all working. It's all
So
fine.
yes, much
Efforts
love.
are appreciated.
Yeah, the
Yes.
efforts are noted and appreciated.
Yeah.
But with that, we'll just do a quick roundabout to let everybody know where they can find us. You can find me at Renzoy on most platforms, but particularly Instagram. Zap?
Oh my god, what is my Instagram? 1 second, I'm gonna look.
I named it. I know what it is.
It's Zapuppy on Instagram. It's ZAPPUPPIE.
Zappy.
Awesome.
Rack, where can people find you?
You can pretty much just find me Reckless Raccoon Studios most platforms. That's where you find me. And if you want to find me specifically, just go to my website. All my links for stuff are there. So recklessraccoonstudios.com.
And
Yeah.
message Rack asking what the correct ratio of Pilk is.
Yeah, it's half and half, by the way, guys. I will provide evidence visually.
And Frey, I know that no one I know that you don't
There
want
is
anyone
no
to
me.
find you. Yeah.
You got to learn esoteric summoning rituals if you want to find
You
me on
have to
social
summon
media.
You have to go to the shadow dimension.
You just got to figure out what my current persona is and then just work from there.
If we can summon you, that implies we can banish you. How do we banish you?
Like this.
I am legally not required to answer that question.
I don't think the rules of Magic the Gathering are that important and should not be stuck to. They're more of a guideline.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I.
And
Why
then
do you think I
disappear.
stopped being a
Wait,
judge?
who's got the counter spell to use on Frey to get rid of her?
Frey has resolved already and is on the battlefield. Frey's
Aw.
They're gonna cut me down because I have less than a combined 5 PT.
No.
Oh no. Anyway, thank you so much for being here and for chatting. Thank you, Rack, for being here. You've been a
Of
wonderful
course, and
guest.
thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You guys were very, very lovely, and I enjoyed my time today.
Yeah,
Yippee!
getting good marks
and-
on.
Yes, very solid. High marks. High marks. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you some other time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Toodaloo.
Bueno, adios.